Hello, this is Krystal and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of Nora Roberts' One Man's Art. This is book 4 in the McGregor series. Chapter 1. Jenny knew she'd found it the moment she passed the first faded clapboard building. The village, pragmatically and accurately called Windy Point, at last captured her personal expectations for a coastal Maine settlement. She'd found her other shops along the rugged, shifting coastline scenic, picturesque, at times postcard perfect. Perhaps the perfection had been the problem. When she'd decided on this working vacation, she'd done so with the notion of exploring a different aspect of her talent. Where before, she'd always fancified, mystified, relying on her own bent toward illusions, she'd made a conscious decision to stick to realism, no matter how stark. Indeed, her trunk was laden with her impressions of rock and sea and earth, on canvas and sketch pads, but there was something more about Windy Point, or perhaps it was something less. There was no lushness here, or soft edges. This was hard country. There were no leafy shade trees, but a few stunted foreign spruce, gnarled and weather-beaten. The road had more than its fair share of bumps. The village itself, though it wasn't precisely tumble-down, had the air of old age with all its aches and pains. Salt and wind had weathered the buildings, picking away at the paint, scarring the windows. The result wasn't a soft wash, but a toughness. Jenny saw a functional beauty. There were no frivolous buildings here, no gingerbread. Each building served its purpose: dry goods, post office, pharmacy. The few houses along the main road held that implacable New England practicality in their sturdy shape and tidy size. There might be flowers, adding a surprisingly gay and smiling color against the stern clapboard, but she noted nearly every home had a well-tended vegetable patch at the rear or the side. The petunias might be permitted to grow a bit unruly, but the carrots were tidily weeded. With her car window down, she could smell the village. It smelled, quite simply, of fish. She drove straight through first, wanting a complete impression of the main street. She stopped by a churchyard where the granite markers were rather stern and the grass was high and wild, then turned to drive back through again. It wasn't a large town, and the road was rather narrow, but she had a sense of spaciousness. You wouldn't bump into your neighbor here, unless you meant to. Pleased, Jenny pulled up in front of the dry goods store, guessing this would be the hub of Windy Point's communications network. The man sitting in an old wooden rocker on the stoop didn't stare, though she knew he'd seen her drive through and backtrack. He continued to rock while he repaired a broken lobster trap. He had the tan-brown face of the coast, guarded eyes, thinning hair, and gnarled, strong hands. Jenny promised herself she'd sketch him just like that. She stepped from the car, grabbing her purse as an afterthought, and approached him. Hello. And if you would like to know what happens next, you can read this book on the Libby app. Please join me here as I read from the beginning of Danny Gregory's Art Before Breakfast. Thank you and have a great week.